Hello and welcome to the Passion Show. My name is Phil, and joining me as always is my co-host Kyle.
Hello. So in today's episode, we're talking about Doctor Who again.
Yeah, we've already done an episode on it, but we've got so much to say about it. It's such a huge show with like a huge universe within it, so we can just keep talking about it, and we might do more episodes on it in the
Yeah.
future and stuff. You never know. In the
If-
future, time travel.
So yeah, if there's something that we don't say, then we've probably already said it, or we probably will say it at
Yeah,
some point.
there's a lot of as I said just then, there's a lot to say about it. So check out the first episode if you're interested in Doctor Who and stuff. And but yeah, we'll cover more stuff this episode.
I think we'll start off by talking about the merchandise. We covered it a bit in the last episode. We spoke about the magazines.
And the playing cards.
Yeah.
So what I said then, just to recap, is that I get expanded my love for it because it wasn't just one episode a week. It was an episode a week, and a
Magazine a week.
and a magazine. I got 2 magazines a week because I
Yeah.
got the Battles in Time and Doctor Who Adventures. So it was like more knowledge, and I could learn about the universe and stuff. But the action figures did that as well, didn't they?
Yeah. So back at home, I've got this like box for like about 100 Doctor Who figures, and I remember like
Yeah.
every Christmas, I was really excited for play sets and stuff like that. And like I remember one Christmas, like I really wanted an 11 Doctors that action figure set, like which came with like every
Every
Doctor
Doctor.
up to Matt Smith, and they all had like little accessories like the second Doctor's like recorder and like the seventh Doctor's
Oh.
umbrella and stuff like that.
Did you get it?
And then my mum and dad were like, "Oh, we can't find it anyway," and it was a rare thing to get.
Yeah.
And I got it.
Oh, you got that?
Yeah.
Oh, are they still in the box?
So they're all in this special box. Those ones,
Oh,
because like it's like
collectors.
versions of like David Tennant that you can't get anywhere else because he's like got his coat on, glasses.
So you've never opened it?
No, I've opened it. Yeah,
Oh,
it came in like this big box that was like a TARDIS, and like you peel it open
Hmm.
and like see like them behind plastic, but I got rid of the box.
That's sick though. Oh yeah, you should take a picture of them. and
But
go back.
I've got a Christopher Eccleston San Diego Comic Con exclusive from
Yeah.
2008, and there's only 3,000 in the world. That's still in the packet. That's the only thing that I've got still in the packet.
Yeah,
Like,
because you open all pop
I-
figures and stuff, don't
I
you?
have so many Funko Pops, and I hate it when people keep them in the box because it's just a waste of money.
Yeah, you should just display them, shouldn't you?
Yeah.
But I understand for like rarity.
Yeah.
See, again, do you remember last episode when I said I love Doctor Who, but my knowledge, you know more. Like I
Yeah.
can admit that.
It's,
you
it's
you have
not-
more figures as well. You know what I mean? Like I remember like quite vividly one Christmas. I had like my Christmas list, for Santa, and I put on like Doctor Who figures because I love Doctor Who, and I learned about these like little mini figurines. So I asked for them, and I asked for like some other stuff as well because I want a bit of variety,
Yeah.
And it got to about the 20th Doctor Who figure, and I was like,
I'd be buzzing.
I was, but I got to the last one, and I was like, oh, that's something else. Like, because I can already play with them. I could play with like 5.
Christmas
mean?
to me as a kid was just like Doctor Who figures. Like that's
Yeah.
what it revolved around.
Doctor Who was always like the biggest thing at Christmas for me.
Like-
Like I'd always get a screwdriver or something like that, or a TARDIS, and then it became Marvel after that. I have 2 big shelves at home with like DVDs and books on it, and standing in front of all the DVDs and books was all my Doctor Who figures. I had David Tennant as the 10th Doctor, but in like 5 different versions.
Yeah.
So I had him in like a hazmat suit.
And it's different coloured shoes.
Yeah, I had a giant version. I had
Yeah.
the coat one, and I had the blue suit without the coat, and I had that one twice, and stuff like that. Like I had
Yeah,
But
the
still-
few twice.
I had the golden Daleks. I had the golden Daleks with the
They
cutter.
pull out the thing and like it's got a little
Oh,
squiddy
no,
Dalek
I haven't got
inside.
the
I
squiddy
got one
one.
of them.
I've got a giant Dalek set. I've got the Supreme Dalek.
So with those sonic screwdrivers that you can get, like I used to like play Doctor Who,
Oh yeah,
and then, like
yeah.
I'd use my wardrobe as like the TARDIS, and then my mum would hate it because she used to be like, "Oh, it's gonna fall on you."
Yeah, I think that's why it's more than just a show, isn't it? Because once you have the figures and the merchandise.
Yeah, the marketing was incredible for it.
Yeah, because once you have a sonic screwdriver, you're the Doctor, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly.
'Cause that's like one of the defining features. That's what you look like.
That's it. It was really important to me. I didn't mention this in the last podcast, but when I was about 8, David Tennant like inspired me so much that like I took up acting, and I did that for 10 years of my life. And like I always like wanted to be in like Doctor Who and stuff like that, but like yeah, I gave up acting recently. But, yeah.
No, there's still always a chance, isn't there?
Yeah.
But I know what you mean about it being quite an inspiring show. Like, because
Yeah.
we're both into films and stuff. We study film, don't we?
Yeah.
And I think it's sort of vicarious, isn't it? Like, with doing media and film.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it's a good starting point, wasn't it?
Yeah.
For like sci-fi and action and just like narrative
Yeah,
and stuff like
sure.
that, especially the Rusty Davis era.
Yeah.
So we didn't really talk about this last episode, but I think it's like a good chance now. If someone wanted to watch Doctor Who and they wanted to enjoy it because they see the community of it and the fandom, what would you like? What avenue would you go down? Would you say just watch it from season one, or would you recommend certain episodes? Or
Yeah, this is a question that people ask a lot,
I think
and I think you should start with Rose.
really
Like the first ever episode, yeah.
What-
The first episode of Chris Eccleston. Obviously, don't watch the classic series. It's
so
boring.
what episode? Or controversial.
It's not.
So what episode have I got in my head that everyone always recommends to watch first?
Watch first. Blink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We talked about
it's
it last
proper
episode.
overrated, I reckon.
Oh no, I disagree. I think it's a great episode.
Yeah.
I think if you want proper Doctor Who, the Doctor with a companion and go into like some
Yeah.
otherworldly places,
It's-
season one's a really good place to
They
start.
do it brilliantly because like it starts off modern day London. Next
Yeah.
episode, end of the world.
What do you think?
Next
Of,
episode, back in time.
yeah. What do you think of people who completely skip Christopher Eccleston and go to Tennant?
Just feel like the missing out. Like
Mm.
he's a brilliant guy.
I rewatched it once and I went straight to David Tennant. Can't
Yeah.
remember why, but I think
David Tennant's first season isn't strong.
I think it's really good. It's got a few duds in it.
Yeah.
But I think at the core of it, you need to start with Eccleston because if you really want to get into it as more than just a passing viewer, it's kind of key, isn't it?
Yeah.
It sets the tone for Doctor Who, and once you understand that, and you can enjoy that and move past the lack of visual quality. Let's say
Yeah.
because it doesn't really hold
But
up, does it?
It does in terms of what they didn't do with CGI. So with the monsters of Slovene,
Mhm.
they like the physical costumes for them are incredible.
They're like
but
some
then-
big green fat aliens with
Yeah,
long
yeah.
necks, aren't they?
The fart and like the political allegory.
Yeah.
But when they have scenes of them like chasing people,
When they're
it's all
running.
CGI. It looks abysmal. It does
Well,
not age well.
It looks crap. The CGI looks crap, but
But
I
it
used to
probably looked great at the time.
I know. I love the way they run. Do you know the way they've got big claws?
Yeah.
And they'll run on like all
Yeah.
fours. It's proper
They
scary.
don't look like they should run. Yeah.
They used to
but-
proper scare me,
But
in,
like the
a fun way.
physical costumes, like they look brilliant. I've seen the physical costumes of like
Yeah,
loads of
same.
things that like the Doctor Who experience. I haven't
Mm.
spoken about that.
Yeah, yeah. That kind of ties into like the whole merchandise aspect, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because it's like an experience, isn't it?
Because
So-
for like my 12th birthday, my dad took me to London to the Doctor Who experience, and like it was like this whole, it was like a museum, but you were like in an episode. You'd go into the TARDIS, and Matt Smith would be on the screen like speaking to you, and then like the like stuff would happen. I vaguely remember it, but
you got to see all costumes and stuff.
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
you,
I
and
took a picture of
replicas.
like the face bow and stuff like that,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it was great. And like, yeah, I really loved it. But like even like growing up, like there was a place called Spaceport by my house,
Yeah, I'm
and-
familiar with it.
and basically it's like this sciencey place, and like they do themes like with Star Wars a couple months, Doctor Who a couple months,
Yeah, yeah.
and they'd like bring like loads of props in and stuff like that. So I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, I went to that once with my dad and my brother, and it's obviously in the Wirral, and I'm in
Yeah.
Liverpool, so we had to get the ferry across the Mersey, and there's pictures of me on the ferry and stuff like that, and
Huh.
we got there, and there's like pictures of me with the TARDIS, and I'm with
Yeah.
my brother and my dad. It's really nice, quite a nice memory.
Yeah, I went to Affleck's like 2 weeks ago in Manchester, and then I got to the third floor, and it was like loads of Doctor Who stuff, and I
Oh,
was like, oh my god,
You've showed me this, haven't you?
Yeah,
'Cause
it's
they have
like-
like all replicas.
they
of
had every
figures.
single action figure like
Yeah.
4 times, just like
Mhm.
all stood in the rows, like shelves of them. They had like a lift that had like a TARDIS painted on the lift
Yeah,
doors and
yeah.
stuff like that.
I love stuff like that. I love people who are so dedicated to it that
Yeah.
like they do cosplay and that. Like I find that really interesting. Like I've never really gone that far myself. Like I've never really like dressed up as much. I used to play as a kid.
Yeah, I dressed up as Davros when I was like
Yeah,
10
as you mentioned
for
last time.
Halloween. Yeah.
But it's kind of lends itself to that, doesn't it? Because it's a show that uses practical effects. So obviously you can't make it as the show standard, but you can make your own stuff.
Yeah.
It's like you make it your own, don't you?
Like I had like a canine toy that was like half the size of K9.
It was like remote
The
control.
remote control one,
I
yeah.
had that one, yeah.
Yeah, and
You
like
could, it was the one where you could pop the side off and you could see a circuit.
yeah.
We kind of talked about it last time, but what do you think of the show of recent? Because I feel like we've talked predominantly about like the Tennant era, and we haven't really touched on that much on Jodie Whittaker and Peter Capaldi. So if someone wanted to get into it, like we were saying before, do you think it'd be a good idea for them to just start with Jodie Whittaker as their first Doctor, or do you think that would not do Doctor Who justice? 'Cause that's
Yeah,
quite
not at all.
that's quite a good benchmark of quality, isn't it? If you can start with, you could start with Matt Smith, couldn't you? If you really wanted
Yeah,
to.
definitely. Yeah,
You could
11th
start.
hour. It's brilliant episode. So you want to talk about like Peter Capaldi and
Yeah, I
Jodie
guess
Whittaker,
because I'm not as experienced in it, so I can sort of
okay.
ask you a couple questions.
So there are a lot of
What do you think's the key
bad
problem?
episodes that are like a chore to watch. So the worst episode that I've ever seen was like this episode where London like turns to a forest,
Oh
like
yeah.
trees just grown, and like the entire episode is just about these like 8-year-olds, like a school of them. Yeah, and it's a proper chore to watch.
I hate episodes like that.
But there are good episodes, like Peter Capaldi's last episode. David Bradley, who I mentioned in the last episode, who played William
first-
Hartnell
yeah, yeah.
as first Doctor. He plays the first Doctor in that episode. He comes back, and the whole episode is about both of them are about to change into the next Doctor. Yeah, it's a
I have
brilliant
seen that
episode.
one. Yeah. There are good episodes still, and it's nice that Doctor Who is still around. But do you feel like the time of Doctor Who is sort of coming to an end, our sort of golden age?
I think what's happening it's just similar to Marvel, really. Like we're just growing up. Like
Yeah,
we
because
didn't like we did get an Endgame because we got Jenny's End back in 2009.
one of like the themes we've been talking about a lot, even with like that Simpsons episode that we did, does nostalgia play a part in it? Because if someone started watching Jodie Whittaker now, and like Chris Chibnall's writing, they wouldn't be aware of past Doctor Who, so they'd just take it for what it is. And
Yeah.
would they notice that it's not as good, or would they be totally fine with it? Like, will like kids grow
Be
up
interested, yeah.
and be nostalgic for Peter Capaldi and Jodie Whittaker and stuff like that?
I think it's definitely something to do with marketing, because
Yeah,
shops used to be covered in Doctor Who action figures,
yeah.
and now they're not.
But maybe it's sort of, it kind of goes both ways, doesn't it? Because there's no action figures because there's a dip in quality, and because there's a different
Yeah.
quality, no one's buying action figures. So it's kind of like a vicious cycle,
But
isn't it?
the quality's never always been perfect. Like it's always been like fluctuating.
Well, we've mentioned this, but it kind of felt like there was always fluctuations of
But
quality.
there's always charm.
But there was always charm, and there was always an overarching.
Plot line.
Yeah, and it always made it more fun and gripping.
Yeah.
Because even if it was a bad episode, I'd look forward to the next time on Doctor Who. bit.
Yeah.
So that was always like there to
But
bring me
now
back
like
in at the end.
it's gone so convoluted.
It literally is like
that-
Marvel, isn't it?
yeah.
Because it's like post-credit scenes, literally.
Yeah,
and that's
like
what
that,
gets you. So I've always said, like, for some Marvel films, I'm literally more excited for the post-credits because I
Yeah.
want to know what's next.
Like Ant-Man and the Wasp.
yeah, and that worked for me. I was
Yeah.
fine with it.
yeah.
But Doctor Who used to do that, didn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Like if it was coming up to like the third to last episode,
You were like,
you're watching
"Ooh."
it for the
Yeah.
next time trailer.
And you want to see what villain's gonna come back, whether it's Davros or like the Cybermen.
The
or...
Master.
Yeah, exactly. And it was always one of them, inevitably, wasn't
Yeah.
it? Me and Carl tend to talk about it the most when we're just in our living room, just watching it.
Yeah.
And I think if you want to get into it and you want to like get the most from it, I think it's talking about it that does help. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To get into it. So if you find someone who already likes it, like if you know someone who already likes it, maybe watch a few episodes with them. Yeah, like watch it with someone else who has already watched it, or maybe someone who's never watched it, because you can experience it together and stuff.
One thing I will say, it's not what you think. It's not nerdy. It's like the first couple of seasons are like a soap.
Yeah, definitely.
Like yeah, there are cringy like lines of dialogue and stuff like that. But
There's reoccurring characters, isn't there?
Exactly,
And they all
there's,
play a
like-
part in each other's
Yeah.
lives and stuff, and there's different character dynamics, and that's what's really interesting with companions and stuff like that.
I think in terms of people's perception of the show, it wouldn't be as big as it is if there wasn't a reason for it to be
Yeah,
that
yeah.
big.
It had to have done something to have excited our imaginations and made us want to talk about it on a
Yeah,
show
yeah.
called The Passion Show. I think as you're saying, you need to sort of get rid of your preconceived notions of it, and maybe if you are wanting to really get invested in it, don't worry about like the amount of it, and don't worry about the newer seasons not being as good. Each
Yeah.
episode you're watching, watch it for that episode,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
because you can enjoy the overarching story, but just try and take each one as it is, and you need to understand that like some episodes might not buzz you, but the
Yeah.
next one might, and that's always the exciting thing, because if you knew you were getting guaranteed quality every time, it kind of would just run a bit stale, because it's the gamble, and you know, you go from a bad episode to a good episode. It's counterintuitive saying it, but it's more exciting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because when you get that good episode, it's so worth it. And when
Yeah.
we watch them together, we only watch like either really bad or really good episodes.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's fun to watch. So yeah, just try and enjoy what you can from the bad ones, but you know, really enjoy the good ones.
So I think on that note of like introducing yourself to a new show that's got a bunch of content like
Mm.
ready for you, I think we'll wrap it up there.
Yeah, sounds good to me. So thanks to Kyle for being my co-host as always.
Thank you, Phil.
Yeah. If you have any passions yourself that you want us to talk about, feel free to just like leave a comment, because we'd love to hear from you.
Well, hit us up in the DMs if you want to come on the show yourself.
Yeah, if you want to come on the show, just message us, because we'd love to have you on to talk about your passion. But other than that, I think we'll see you next time.
Have a good day.
Bye.